Okay, so this is lesson 30, okay? So the least common denominator, I'm sure you guys all know, it's when you're adding or subtracting something, you've got to get the bottoms the same, okay? So if you look at 2/3 and 1/2, okay, what I'm doing is I'm looking at these numbers right here, okay? If I wanted to write it out, I could do this, okay? Write down the 2. And I want you to write down the multiples of 2. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We could keep going if we needed to. Then I want you to write down the 3. Write down the multiples of 3. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We could keep going if we needed to. So the least common denominator is the number that appears in both of those lists. That's the smallest, okay? So for example, if I went one more right here, a 12 is in both lists, but it's not the smallest thing that's in both lists. The smallest thing is a 6, okay? So the answer is 6, and you're done, okay? Oh, there's something I have to change about this lesson. Just remembered. So sometimes it's just multiplying those numbers together. 3 times 2 is 6. Sometimes it's not just multiplying those numbers together. So don't just always multiply them and think that's going to be it. Okay, question 2, find the least common denominator of these. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. So numerically, you've got a 4 and a 1. So if one of them's a 1, the other number is going to be the numerical part of the least common denominator, so 4. You guys, this guy has 2 x's and this guy has 1 x. I have to take the biggest number of x's that anybody has. So the first guy has 2, so my least common denominator is going to be 2. So there it is. Okay? All right. Here we go. This one right here. I want you guys to talk to me, okay? I got to see if you guys understand. So look at the numbers, 2 and 3. Okay? Everybody in the room, yes.
I was wondering why you needed to have the bigger number of x's.
Let me look at something really fast. Can I answer? I'm going to answer your question in a minute, okay? Because in a second, we're going to start adding these together, and I'll address it when we get down there, because that's the problem. You wouldn't be able to add those together. Okay, everybody look at question A right here. Numerically, the number, tell me, everybody in the room, tell me what the number of the least common denominator is going to be. It's going to be a 6. We just did that, right? Okay, look at A's. This guy has no A's. This guy has 1 A. I have to take the biggest number of A's that anybody has, which is 1. Look at the B's. The first guy has 2. The second guy has 1. Everybody tell me how many we need. 2. There you go. There's literally a problem on your review that says, what is the least common denominator? Which is exactly what we're doing. Okay? Okay, look right here. I think this lesson might be a little tough, just so you guys know. Okay? Some people say, well, this has an x minus 1, and this guy has the x, so I'm just missing the minus 1. You can't do that. You can't add or subtract to the top or bottom. You could multiply or divide the top and bottom, but you can't add and subtract. So this is one thing, and the x is a different thing. I can't subtract 1 from the x and say, yay, I've got a common denominator, okay? So the least common denominator is going to be just putting those together. The way that the 3 and the 2, the least common denominator was multiplying those together. Same thing, okay? Okay, this one right here. Does 15 go into 40? Everybody tell me that. Yes or no? No. The next multiple, take the big guy, which is the 40. And take the little guy into him, okay? So, does 15 go into 40? No. The next multiple of 40 is 80. Does 15 go into 80? If you go 80 divided by 15, it does not. The next multiple of 40 is 120. So if you go 120 divided by 15, it does. So your least common denominator numerically is 120. So I took the biggest one. I kept testing the multiples of that big guy. If once the little guy goes into it, I found it. Who says I understand what you did? Let's see. Okay, great. Look at the x's. Every person in the room, because I think this lesson's going to be hard, so I want you communicating with me. How many X's would I have to have? Talk to me. 2 is correct. On my Y's, how many? Tell me. 3. Yep. And all they wanted you to do is to just find it. So that's your answer. That's it. Okay? Okay. When you're adding or subtracting fractions, you must have a common denominator. Okay? The denominator has to stay as part of your answer. Okay? So look right here. Look what people do. This is a common error. Look right here. 1/10 plus 2/10. 1 plus 2 is 3. That's my answer. So people will forget that there's a denominator. If you have a piece of pizza and you cut your pizza into 10 slices, and in this box you have 1 slice, and in this box you have 2 slices, when I put those slices together, does that mean I have 3 full pizzas? No. It means I have 3 pieces, and they are cut into tenths, so that means I have 3/10 of a pizza. Okay, so don't forget the denominator. All right. Here are some steps. We'll go through the steps. Let's go ahead and do it. Okay, adding or subtracting. Okay, step number 1. Stick with me, okay? Look at the denominators. 6, 4, and 8. Can I factor any of those denominators? No. Okay, I don't have any, complicated stuff, so no. Common denominator. Here's what you do. Everybody watch closely. Look at the biggest guy, 8. Everybody in the room tell me, do 6 and 4 both go into 8? Tell me that. No, okay? The next multiple of 8 is 16. Do 6 and 4 go into 16? No. The next multiple of 8 is 24. Do the little guy, 6 and 4, both go into 24? Yes. So my least common denominator is going to be 24. Okay. Now look at the first fraction. Okay. Look at this first fraction right here. I have to turn a 6 into a 24. So the bottom can be a 24. How do I do that? 6 times 4 is 24. So if you multiply the bottom by 4, you have to multiply the top by 4. So 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, let's do the next one. The denominator is a 4. I have to turn it into a 24. I multiply by 6. Therefore, 5x times 6 is 30x. Do the last one. I have an 8. I have to multiply by him by 3 to get a 24. So a negative 8 times, negative x times 3 is a negative 3x. Now I add those together and I get 20 plus 27x all over 24. I'm going to ask you a very important question, and you better know the answer to it because I went over it and over it and over it. Everybody listen. Can I cancel this 20 with that 24? Yes or no? No, you cannot. It's rude. Who is it rude to? The 27x. You cannot exclude him, okay? So that's your answer and you're done, okay? Okay, question B. Common denominator. Numerically, start with the big number, 9. Does 6 go into 9? Everybody tell me. No. The next multiple of 9 is 18. Does 6 go into 18? Yes. Is that my full common denominator? Tell me that. What else do I need? An x. Just one of them. Okay. I'm going to say one thing. Everybody look right here. If there was an x right here, don't add it. There's not. If there was an x right there, would I need an x to the first or an x to the second? Which one? X to the first, right? Nobody has 2. You take the biggest number. Nobody has 2, so I would never take 2, even if there was an x right there. Okay? All right. Very slowly. Look at this guy. Okay? I have to turn a 6 into an 18x. How do I do that? Multiply by 3x. So I'm going to take this 3x and I'm going to distribute it to the entire top. So that gives me 12x to the second plus 3x. Look at the next fraction. This is going to be on your quiz, by the way. What do I multiply by 9 to get 18? A 2, and it also has to have an x with it. A negative 2x times 2x is a negative 4x squared. Okay? The third guy right here, he's got the x, but he's missing the 18. So I'd have to multiply the bottom by 18. Therefore, I have to multiply the top by 18. Now watch this right here, okay? This is killing my 1050 students because they're forgetting to distribute the negative. You guys, what I'm doing is I'm distributing a negative 18 to 2x plus 1. So negative 18 times 2 is a negative 36x, and negative 18 times a positive 1 is a negative 18. Who is following me completely? I want to see how you're doing. Give me some feedback. Just a hand raise is all I need. Okay, on the top, 12x a second minus 4x a second is 8x to the second. A positive 3x and a negative 36x is a negative 33x minus 18 all over 18x, and you're done. Okay, now you should try to see if the top factors, but let's think about it. Can I take a 2 out of the top? Can I take anything even out of the top? No. Does everything on the top have an x? No. So nothing's going to be able to cancel anyway, so it doesn't make sense to try to keep factoring. It's not going to do me any good. Okay, here goes question C. Okay. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to mess up on purpose. Okay. The question was asked about 5 minutes ago. Why do you have to take the biggest number? I'm going to show you why right now. We're going to mess up and I'll show you what happens. Okay. Don't go ahead of me. Okay. 3 and 6, every person numerically, what's your common denominator? 6. Okay. Look at your x's. 1 and 1, I need 1. Look at the y's, 2 and 3. We need 3. What if I said 2? Everybody just put 2. Okay. Then look what happens. I'm going to skip over here to the second part. Okay. Look right here. This guy has the 6. He's got the x. He's got the y to the third, but I'm trying to make it a y to the second. That would be like dividing this by y and dividing this by y to make the y to the third a y to the second. So when you're figuring out what you have to multiply by to get what's there, if you have more than what your common denominator is, it's not going to work out. You with me? Does that make sense, honey? Okay, so it's got to be a 3. Okay, now let's do it. Look over here. Oops. Look right here. What do I multiply by 3 to get 6? 2. I have 1x. I need 1x. I'm good. I have 2 y's. I need 3 y's. I'm missing 1 y. Now I distribute. So 2y times x is 2xy. 2y times 2y is 4y squared. See this negative right there? Why don't you draw an arrow right there and write a note to yourself that says, be careful. You have to distribute that negative into both of those terms. Okay, look. I need a 6, I've got a 6. I need an x, I've got an x. I need a y to the third, I've got a y to the third. That guy's good to go. This is wrong. Look, see the negative? Negative 2y to the second minus 5. That's wrong. What's wrong with it? You've got to distribute the negative. It changes both of the signs, so this negative 5 is really a plus 5. Yes, sir? Say it again. No, because if you look at the bottom, buddy, look, 6, 6, x, x, y the third, good. You okay? Okay, let's look at the top. So you have 4y to the second and 2y to the second, that's 2y to the second, plus 2xy, plus 5, all over 6xy to the third. Okay, now I want to say one more thing about this. Everybody watch. I know I'm not going to be able to reduce. I'm not going to spend my time trying to factor that because it's not going to do me any good. Here's why it's not going to do me any good. The only way that a 6 is going to cancel is if this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy are all even, which they're not. The only way an x is going to cancel is if everything has an x, and it doesn't. The only way any of the y's are going to cancel is if every single term here, here, here has a y, and they don't, so I know there's nothing I'm going to be able to do. That's my answer. Okay? Who says I understand? Raise your hand up high. Let me see how we're doing. Okay, good. Okay, that was question C. Here is D. Okay, it's going to get a little bit tougher. This will be on your quiz. This will be on your final. Okay? Step 1, factor the denominators, okay? The first denominator will factor, guys. Take out a 2 right here, and I'm left with x plus 4. Now I'm just going to cross that guy out. And in the second parenthesis, second fraction, I'm going to put parentheses around the denominator. You don't have to do that, but I'm just trying to remind myself the x and the 4 are stuck together, okay? So my common denominator is going to be pulling all those things together, because I have to have the 2, I have to have an x plus 4, and I have to have an x minus 4, okay? Now, look right here. This fraction has the 2, it has the x plus 4, it's missing the x minus 4. Distribute the 3, and I get 3x minus 12. This second fraction right here has the x minus 4. It's missing a 2, and it's missing an x plus 4. Okay, now look what I have. I have 7x and 2 on the outside. 7x times 2 is 14x. And I'm distributing that to x plus 4. So when I distribute that, I get 14x to the second plus 14 times 4 is 56. And I've got an x. Okay, now I'm going to add those together. So I get 14x to the second plus 59x minus 12 all over 2 times x plus 4. Oh, sorry. Times x minus 4, and we're done. Okay? All right, I am going to change a question, actually. Hopefully I didn't do it yet. Okay, look right here. Factor the first fraction, doesn't factor. Factor the second one, doesn't factor. The third one factors to the difference of squares, x plus 2 times x minus 2. Okay? What I'm about to say right here is super important. Okay? Listen, if you don't answer this correctly, you're going to miss it. Look, I need x plus 2's. Okay? Watch. This guy has 1. This guy has none. This guy has 1. Okay? 1, 0, 1. Do I need 2? Tell me. Why not? You know the easiest answer? Nobody has 2. If nobody has 2, don't take 2. You just take the biggest that anybody has. Okay? I have to have x minus 2's. This guy has none. This guy has 1. This guy has 1. How many do I need? Just 1. Okay? Look at the first fraction right here. This guy has the x plus 2. He's missing the x minus 2. Now this is going to be confusing, so I want you to watch. I have a binomial times a binomial. I'm multiplying x plus 1 times x minus 2. When I do that, I have to FOIL. I want you to write the word FOIL right there, so when you're going through your workbook for your quiz, you remember. Okay? X times x is x to the second. Outside is a negative 2x. Inside is a positive 1x. That gives me a negative x. Positive 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. Okay? Look at the second fraction. We're looking right here, the pink one. This guy has the x minus 2. It's missing the x plus 2. Put parentheses around the x minus 1 and write the word FOIL. When I FOIL that, I get x to the second. A plus 2x and a minus 1x gives me a plus 1x minus 2. This third fraction right here that I'm highlighting in green, I have everything in the denominator. I have to be careful, okay? I want you to add parentheses around the top, and I want you to draw an arrow to that negative, and I want you to write, be careful. You must distribute that negative. So when I do that, I get negative 2x to the second plus x plus 5, like that. Okay? I want you to raise your hand in the air if you are understanding. Do a big high all the way to the sky. I got to assess where we're at. Okay. Okay. 1x squared and 1x squared is 2x squared. 2x squared and a negative 2x squared, those all cancel out. Okay. Here's a negative 1x and a positive 1x. Those are going to go away. But I do still have that x right there. Okay. And then a negative 2 and a negative 2 is a negative 4. A negative 4 and a positive 5 is a positive 1. That's over x plus 2 times x minus 2. Can I cancel any of those x's? Talk to me about that. Yes or no? No, they have to be identical. Okay, I can't cancel with those because this is not an x. This is an x plus 1. Okay? All right, that's it. Question F. Let's see where we're at. Yeah, question F. Common denominator. First of all, factor, factor. There's nothing to do. Common denominator, put them together. Y plus 1 times y minus 2. This one's nice and easy, I think. This guy right here has the y plus 1. He's missing the y minus 2. Distribute the 4, and you get 4y minus 8. The second guy has the y plus 2. He's missing the y plus 1. So you're taking your 3 and multiplying it by y plus 1. That gives you 3y plus 3. 4y plus 3y is 7y minus 5, and that's my answer. Is that right? What's wrong with it? You forgot the denominator. That is a very common error, okay? It is not the answer because you can't just blow off the bottom. You've got to keep the bottom in the problem. Now that's your answer. Good. Okay? All right. This is important. This was on the final exam review. Everybody look right here. X minus 4 and 4 minus x. They look almost the same, okay? Look at the x minus 4, look at the 4 minus x. Which one looks weird? Tell me that. The first one or the second one? Talk to me. The second one. Underneath that, I want you to write weird. If it looks weird, then let's make it look normal, right? Let's reorder it. So let's write negative x plus 4. So all I did is put the different order. It looks better, but it's still a little bit weird. Why does it look a little bit weird? The x has a negative. So all I have to do is take out a negative. When I take out a negative, it changes both of the signs. So now the x is a positive and the 4 is a negative. So what's the difference? Okay, well, they're the same, except the 4 minus x is multiplied by a negative. Okay, so I'm going to say 4 minus x is x minus 4 multiplied by a negative. That's it. Okay? Now, like I said, I think this is going to be on your test, on your final. So look, top and bottom. Every person in the room, which one looks weird? The top or the bottom? The top. So see the bottom? Let's just forget about him. Let's just write him down. And let's mess with the top, because the top is the weird one. So reorder, and you have negative x plus 4. Now I'm going to take a negative out of the top. When I take a negative out of the top, it changes both those signs. So I have an x minus 4. Down here, I have an x minus 4. Someone tell me what I'm going to do next. Cancel the x minus 4. Sure. I have exactly an x minus 4 on the top and exactly an x minus 4 on the bottom. Those cancel. So what's it equal to? Can you tell me? Negative 1. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Okay? All right. Question 6. This is what I saw on the midterm. Actually, I'm going to tell you what I saw. Not the midterm test, the midterm review. What I saw on the midterm review, it said determine the LCD. Okay, write that down, please. we're not only going to determine it, we're actually going to add those together, okay? All right, let's do it. So the first fraction is negative 2 over x minus 1. It's good. The bottom doesn't look weird. On the second fraction, the bottom, bless you, the bottom looks weird. So I'm going to make it not look weird anymore. I'm going to reorder it. Negative x plus 1. And now I look at it and I'm like, those denominators are almost the same. So I'm still going to keep my first fraction exactly the way it is. I'm going to take my second fraction and I'm going to make that denominator not look weird anymore by taking out a negative. So if I take out a negative, I'm left with x minus 1. Okay? Now, look at this. Right here, I have a positive times a negative, because that negative can go anywhere. It can go top, middle, bottom. Let's just analyze it. Okay, so it's going to be negative 2 over x minus 1. A positive times a negative is a negative, and then you have 6 over x minus 1. So what's the question that's going to be on your midterm review? What's the least common denominator, everybody? X minus 1. Now let's actually do the problem. The bottom stays in x minus 1. A negative 2 and a negative 6 is a negative 8. There's my answer. Okay? Who says this? This is tough, but I'm following you. Give me a big raise up. Give me some feedback and let me see how you're feeling. Okay, great. All right. Now we're going to start solving. Okay? It's different. It's different. See how these have equal signs now? And before we didn't have equal signs, okay? So now we're going to start solving. The answer when we do this is going to look like x equals something because I'm solving. I've got an equation, okay? So this is what the problem's going to look like. Something like this, okay? Where you've got some fraction plus or minus some fraction equals something over there. Might be a fraction, might not, okay? Okay, here we go. Nice and slowly. Look at question 7. Step 1, it says to factor the denominators. Those denominators cannot factor, okay? You guys, everybody look. I hate those fractions. I hate them. It makes the problem so much tougher. I know that you hate them more than I hate them. I know that. So if you hate it, get rid of it. Just wipe them out. You can wipe out those fractions in one step. Okay, I'm going to show you how. If you were to get a common denominator, what would it be? Okay, so everybody over here go LCD, least common denominator. So you've got a 1 and you've got a 3. So the least common denominator is a 3. What else do I need besides the 3? Everybody tell me. An x. How many x's? 1 or 2? Just 1. Look right here. This is a term. This is a term. This is a term. 3 terms. I'm going to multiply each of those 3 terms by what the denominator would be if I were getting one. So I'm going to multiply this guy by 3x. I'm going to multiply this guy by 3x. And I'm going to multiply this guy by 3x. Look how sweet this turns out. Everybody look. Look at this first fraction. Okay. I've got an x on the bottom that's going to cancel with an x on the top. So what do I have left? 5 times 3 is 15. Look at the next one. I'm going to put my plus, and then look what happens. Look how sweet. This 3x perfectly cancels away with that 3x, and I have a plus 4. Then you have an equals. 10 times 3x is 30x. I know you guys can all do this. Okay, so now you have 30x equals 19, divide by 30, and you get x equals 19 over 30. Okay, now, there's one more thing we have to do. We have to find the domain. Domain is easy. All you have to do is this. Everybody look. Set that equal to 0, set that equal to 0. When I set those both equal to 0, I get x equals 0. X cannot be a 0. Because if x was a 0, I'd have a 0 in the bottom of a fraction, which I cannot have. So my domain is x cannot be 0. Okay? Did I get x equals 0 as a solution? No. So we're totally fine. It's not a problem. If I did get x equals 0, I would have to say that that's an invalid solution, and my answer is actually no solution. Okay? Let's do question B. Factor. I cannot factor anything. Someone tell me what my least common denominator would be if I were getting one. What would it be? 20x. Thank you so much for answering. So I'm going to go 20x here, 20x here, and 20x here. Look how nice. It just knocks out all the fractions. So these x's go away. 20 times 5 is 100. I'm going to put my plus. See the 4 on the bottom? It's always going to cancel with what you're multiplying by. So 4 goes into 4 once, 4 goes into 25 times. So I have a 6 times 5x, which is 30x. Then I have an equal sign. 5 goes into 5 once, 5 goes into 24 times, 4 times 4x is 16x. Move my 30 over, it becomes a negative. 16 minus 30 is a negative 14x equals 100. Divide by negative 14, and I get negative 100 over 14. Some of you are doing this. Is that an acceptable answer? You're leaving it like that. Is that acceptable? Yes or no? No, you can reduce it. So 2 goes into 150 times, 2 goes into 14 7 times, and that's it. Now I have to find the domain. All you have to do is set the bottom equal to 0. Well, 5 is never going to be a 0, so that's not anything. 4 cannot be 0. Set that equal to 0. X can't be 0. That's not what I got for my answer, so I'm totally good. That's it. Okay? All right, question C. Factor the denominators, okay? Nice and slowly. Take out a 5, and you're left with x plus 2. That guy's factored. Take out a 2, and you're left with x plus 2. I'm going to cross that guy out. This, x plus 2. I need x plus 2's in my denominator. So I'm going to go x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 2. Everybody listen. If you choose the wrong number of x plus 2's, you are not going to be able to get it right. It's going to mess you up so bad. You have to understand. How many x plus 2's do I need? Tell me. Talk to me, guys. 1. Nobody has 2, right? Look at the numbers. 5 and 2, I also need a 10. So I'm going to put a 10 in front. Okay, here we go. Do this one right here. This x plus 2 cancels with this x plus 2. 5 goes into 5 once. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times x is 2x. It makes it so much easier to just knock those fractions out. Look at this pink one. X plus 2 cancels with x plus 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 10 5 times. 5 times a negative 3x is a negative 15x. Look at the last one. The x plus 2 cancels with the x plus 2. The 10 gets distributed to 4x minus 1. So distribute, and I get 40x minus 10. Okay? 40x minus 15x is 25x minus 10 equals 2x. So I just added those together. Okay? Now I'm going to move my 25x over to that guy right there. Don't move the 2 to the 25, because then you're going to have a 0 on the right. So now I have 23x equals negative 10. Divide, x equals negative 10 over 23. Make sure that's not a restriction. What's the domain? Okay? Yes? Yes. Thank you so much, honey. Negative, divide by a negative, and I get a positive. Very good, honey. Good. Okay? Let's look at the denominators now. Let's come up with our domain and make sure we don't have a solution that's a restriction. So this factored to 5 times x plus 2. This was 2 times x plus 2. This is x plus 2. 5 and 2 can't be 0. All of those x plus 2's, just tell me that x cannot be negative 2. So we're good to go. Okay, question D. Slowly. I think these last few lessons we do are kind of tough, just so you guys know. Okay, first fraction, take out a 3, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. Okay, look at the second fraction. It's ugly. Why is it ugly? Tell me. Guys, you look at it and you immediately go, ugly. What's ugly? The negative. So let's make it nice. Take out the negative. Is there anything else I can take out besides the negative? Talk to me. A 2. Yeah. When I take out a negative, it changes the signs. So it's going to go from negative positive to positive negative. Okay. 4 divided by 2 is a 2x. 2 divided by 2 is a 1. And this guy is 2x minus 1, so he's good to go. Okay. I'm going to cross that out. Okay, I'm going to rewrite this because I feel like it's getting complicated. I do want to say one thing. Look right here. See this negative? Makes you feel nervous, right? Well, that's multiplied by a positive. A negative times a positive is just a negative. So let's rewrite this. Everybody write x over 3 times 2x minus 1. A positive times a negative is a negative. Then you have 3x over 2 times 2x minus 1 equals 2x plus 3 over 2x minus 1. I'm going to put parentheses around the 2x minus 1. Okay, here we go. This will be on your quiz. It will be on your final. Okay? 2x minus 1, every single one of those. If you can't tell me how many 2x minus 1's you need, it's over. Literally, you will not recover from that mistake. Everybody tell me how many we need. Just one. Good. Look at the numbers in front. I have a 2 and a 3. So along with the 2x minus 1, I have to have a 6. Okay? Let's look at the first one. This 2x minus 1 cancels with that 2x minus 1. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 6 2 times. Listen, you guys. The denominator will always cancel with what you multiplied by. It will always work because of how you figured it out. So 2 times x is 2x. Okay, look at the next one. 2x minus 1 cancels with 2x minus 1. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 6 3 times. 3 times a negative 3x is a negative 9x. Question, Jackson? Which 2? No, because what I did, if you look right here, bud, I said we've got a negative right here, a positive and a negative. So I pushed it up to the middle. So much easier. Don't keep it at the bottom, buddy. It's going to be so much tougher. Okay, so don't do that. Okay, then the last fraction right here, 2x minus 1 cancels with 2x minus 1, distribute the 6, and you have 12x plus 18. Raise your hand if you're following me. Big raise up. Let me see. Okay, good, you guys. Move your 12x over to the 2x. So I have, that becomes a negative 12x over there, right? So I have 2 minus 9, that's a negative 7. A negative 7 and a negative 12 is a negative 19x equals, bless you, 18. Divide by negative 19, and I get negative 18 over 19. Check restrictions. Look at the denominators. The 3 and the 2 are not restrictions. The only restriction I have is 2x minus 1. If I set 2x minus 1 equal to 0, I actually say it can't be 0. If you can go right to that answer, guys, do it. So look, the 1 comes over and becomes a positive, and then I divide by 2. So that means x can't be 1/2. So that is my domain. Okay? All right. I'm a little worried that your homework assignment is going to be too long. Did you notice it? I know, I am too. So what time does the bell ring? Will you look, honey, please? Today's Wednesday. 44? Okay, so we still have 15 minutes. So as soon as I'm done, I'm going to look at it. I think I'm going to have to take some of those off, because I think you're going to be doing homework for 4 hours. Okay. Trying to think the best way to approach this. Okay. Let's go 2 over x minus 1. Look at the second fraction. Okay. You guys, you have to be able to look at this problem and see this. Look right here. This guy is almost exactly the same as this guy. The difference is the signs are messed up. The signs are opposite. Okay. So the guy on the right is weird. I'm just going to keep it a question mark right here. I'm just going to keep that a question mark. Sorry, guys. So the IT guy keeps trying to figure out why my machine, oh yeah, it's working. No. Keeps trying to figure out why my machine messes up sometimes, and we are having a hard time figuring it out. Okay, I'm going to go to the board for just a second. Okay? Just until this thing will work. Okay, I'm just going to change computers too. Okay, so we have 2, I'm going to put it right here, okay? 2 over x minus 1 equals question mark, okay? See the bottom, you guys? It's ugly. You have to look at that and say, I know that's ugly. So reorder negative x plus 1. I didn't change any signs. All I did is flip-flop those, okay? So then we have a 2 over x minus 1 is equal to something over, right here on the bottom, take out that negative, because that's what's still ugly. When I take out the negative, it changes both of the signs. So the x becomes a positive and the y becomes a negative. Okay? Now, Jackson, just like you said a minute ago, see this negative right here? Don't ever keep it there. So I'm going to erase it and I'm going to put it right there. Okay? Do not keep it on the bottom. So we have 2 over x minus 1 is something over x minus 1. Okay? But that something has a negative in front of it. So I've got some negative on the top with my something. You tell me, what do I multiply by a negative to get a positive 2? What's my question mark, everybody? It's got to be a 2, obviously, right? And it's going to be a negative. Negative times a negative is a positive. So what's my question mark? My question mark is a negative 2. And negative 2 is how I'm going to get that positive 2. Okay? Who says gotcha? Let's see. Up high. Okay, great. Let's see if this will work now. Okay, right here. It's working. So happy. Are these two things equal? Okay, everybody look at it and talk to me. Which ones look ugly? The ones on the right or the ones on the left? Tell me. The ones on the right are ugly, right? So keep the beautiful ones beautiful and mess with the ugly ones. Okay? So see this guy right here? I'm going to reorder him. So I'm going to write it as negative 3x plus 2. This guy right here, reorder him, negative 4x minus 1. Okay? Now they're still ugly on the right, but they're not quite as ugly, right? So I'm going to take out a negative. When I take out a negative, I'm left with a positive 3x minus 2. Now it's nice. This guy right here, I'm going to put a little dot right there, which means times. This guy right here, I'm also going to take out a negative. When I take out a negative, I'm left with a positive 4x plus 1. So now the left is 3x minus 2 times 4x plus 1. Look at what the right is. You have a negative times a negative, which is a positive. And then you have a 3x minus 2 multiplied by a 4x plus 1. Are they equal to each other? Yes, they are. Why or why not? I would say I factored out 2 negatives, period. 2 negatives equal a positive. That's it. Okay, question 10. It looks horrible, right? It's not horrible. Here's your equation, and then all they tell you is R sub 1 is 4, R sub 2 is 3. Find R. So you just have to substitute those numbers in, okay? It's just ohms, it just has to do with electrical, I know. It just has to do, I'm sure you guys, has anyone worked with this in their science class at all? Okay, okay, so a couple people. Okay, so we have 1 over R is equal to 1 over R sub 1, that's a 4, plus 1 over R sub 2, that's a 3. Now it's easy. What would my common denominator be? 12R. So I'm going to multiply everything by 12R. Okay, do this guy right here. R's cancel. 1 times 12 is 12. Do this guy right here. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3R times 1 is 3R. Do this guy right here. Put your plus. 3 goes into 3 once. 3 goes into 12 4 times. 1 times 4R is 4R. 7R plus 4, or 3R plus 4R is 7R equals 12. Divide, you get 12 over 7, and you're done. That's it. Okay, solve for t. Now, this one I think is going to be kind of tougher. They don't give me any values. So the common denominator is going to be t times t sub 1 times t sub 2. I have to have all of those. So let's go t sub 1, t sub 2, t sub 1, t sub 2. Okay? T sub 1 cancels with t sub 1, and you get t times t sub 2. When you look at that, you need to see like x times y. That's all that is. It's just a different name. Look at this next guy right here. This t sub 2 cancels with this t sub 2, and what I'm left with is t times t sub 1 is equal to this one right here. The t cancels with the t, and I have t sub 1 times t sub 2. Now, I hope that this is actually more difficult than what you're going to have to do, okay? This is definitely a 1050 type of thing. You're going to do this when you take 1050. I'm trying to solve for capital T. There's a capital T on the left. There's 2 of them. But I can't add those 2 terms together because one has a t sub 1 and one has a t sub 2. Does anybody have any idea what to do? Say it again. Don't be afraid. Yep. Did you say something, Paige? You can't divide by t. Good try, but you cannot do that because if t is 0, then it won't work out. Anybody have any idea? Look what we're going to do. It's easy. We're going to take out a t. Take out a capital T. And when you do, you're left with t sub 2 plus t sub 1 equals t sub 1 times t sub 2. Do you understand? Give me some feedback, yes or no? Yes? Okay. This is multiplied by the t. So to solve for t, you have to divide by that. So it's going to be t sub 1 times t sub 2 over t sub 2 plus t sub 1, and that's your answer. Okay? I think you should understand it. I don't think you should get too overly stressed about that example because I do think it's a little more difficult than what you're going to see. Okay? Okay, I think we're good. All right.